Hello guys, so now we shall be discussing regarding the veins of the heart, okay, the venous drainage of the heart. So we shall be discussing the veins of the heart. So regarding these veins of the heart, first of all let me draw the picture and then explain you what are the different kinds of veins that are located in the heart, okay. So this veins of the heart discussion will be done in two pictures. One is the anterior view, another one is the posterior view. So now what I am going to draw is the anterior view of the veins of the heart, then we shall discuss the posterior view, okay. So coming to the anterior view, right, so this is the anterior view here. So here we have got the superior vena cava and down here we have got the inferior vena cava. So I hope all of you know this thing, that this is your superior vena cava and this one is called as your inferior vena cava, okay. Now here one very important thing you have to understand is that on the back of the heart, this is your anterior portion, this is your anterior view, okay. On the back of the heart, that is posteriorly, you have got a sinus which is transversely located, that is called as coronary sinus, okay. So there is a sinus like this which is located on the back of the heart, okay. So this sinus which is located like this is called as coronary sinus. So what is the name of this sinus? This is called as coronary sinus. So this is the picture which you are seeing is the anterior surface of the heart. On the back of the heart, that is on the posterior surface of the heart, you have got a sinus here, okay. So this sinus which is running like this on the posterior surface of the heart is called as coronary sinus. So what is this sinus here? This sinus is called as coronary sinus, okay. Draining into the coronary sinus on the right side and on the left side, there are two veins. What I am trying to tell you is that, for example, there is a vein that goes like this, okay, and it is going to the back of the heart. From the anterior side only it is going, but it is going on to the back of the heart, and finally this vein is getting what? This vein is getting drained into your sinus. So this is the vein that is going along the back of the heart, and this vein is finally getting drained into your coronary sinus, okay. So this vein which you can see right now, right, this vein which you can see right now, it started anteriorly, but where did it drain? It is draining into your coronary sinus, and this vein is called as a great cardiac vein. What is the name of this vein? This vein over here is called as your great cardiac vein, great cardiac vein, okay. Now in the same way, on the other side also there is another cardiac vein that is draining into the right half, okay. So here even this cardiac vein is also starting anteriorly like this, it is also starting anterior like this, and it is going back posteriorly, okay, and finally this vein is also draining into this. In this way, okay. So this vein which you can see right now over here, right, so this vein is called as a small cardiac vein. So one vein is called as your great cardiac vein, and this vein which I am highlighting right now is called as your small cardiac vein, okay. So this one is called as your small cardiac vein. So there are two veins on the from the anterior side which you can see, that is a great cardiac vein, another one is a small cardiac vein. Now what we shall do is that we shall rotate the heart, or we shall look at the posterior surface of the heart and study in detail what are the veins that are located. But in the posterior surface also I will try drawing this great cardiac vein and the small cardiac vein. So I want you to remember this, okay. So on the back of the heart, on the posterior surface of the heart, this is how the picture looks. Right, so this is just a rough picture, okay, rough picture of the posterior side of the heart. Now on the posterior side of the heart, obviously this was a vein which I was discussing about, and this is called as your coronary sinus, right. And all of you know that coronary sinus has got two veins in turn that are opening into this. One on the left side, this one is called as a great cardiac vein, and this vein which I am drawing right now is called as a lesser cardiac vein or small cardiac vein. Now after that there is one very important cardiac vein, right? So that is exactly draining in the middle. There is one important cardiac vein that is exactly draining in the middle. So this is called as middle cardiac vein. What is this cardiac vein called as? Middle cardiac vein. And all of you know that here you have got your left ventricle and this is your right ventricle, for example. Okay. Now dividing the both left and right ventricle, you have got another vein like this. Dividing both of them, you have got another vein that is all the way coming down till the apex like this. So if this is the left ventricle and that is the right ventricle. Now important thing you need to know is that there is a vein that is coming all the way towards the left ventricle, right? So this is the vein that is projecting towards the left ventricle on the anterior side or on the posterior side? On the posterior side. So you have to call this as posterior vein of left ventricle. Why it is posterior? Because it is on the back, and this is a vein that is related to the left ventricle, so you have to call it as a posterior vein of the left ventricle. And not to forget that I have already told you this, that this vein over here will, I hope you can understand this picture, right? So this vein over here is making, this is a dotted line from the anterior aspect which you can see. This vein over here is called as your small cardiac vein, whereas this vein which you can see over here, right, this is called as your greater cardiac vein, greater as well as small cardiac vein. Now from this draining into this coronary sinus, there is another vein. Draining into this coronary sinus, there is another vein that is taking blood from the margins of the heart. This is called as a marginal artery. What marginal artery? This is towards the left side. You have to call this as a left marginal artery. So once if we write down the things, then we can discuss the further branches and all. So this one over here, which all of you know, right? So this is called as your coronary sinus. Coronary sinus. And this one is called as your small cardiac vein. Small cardiac vein. Okay. And after that, this one over here, you call it as a great cardiac vein. Great cardiac vein. And this branch over here, you call it as marginal vein. Marginal vein. And this one is called, which I have already told you, that is a posterior vein of the left ventricle. Okay. Posterior vein of left ventricle, and which is in the middle is called as a middle cardiac vein. This is called as middle cardiac vein. And finally, we have got one very small vein that is projecting up into this like this, right? So it is projecting up into the left atrium. So, and by the way, it is straight or it is oblique? It is oblique. So that is why it is called as oblique vein of left atrium. Okay, or you can also call it as vein of Marshall. Oblique vein of left atrium or vein of Marshall. So this is your oblique vein of left atrium, or you can also call it as the vein of Marshall. Okay, so these are the veins which you can see in the heart. So so what we shall do now is that we shall just write down all the list which we have talked here. Okay, so what are the veins that are draining into your coronary sinus? Veins that are draining into your coronary sinus. The first important vein is your small cardiac vein. Small cardiac vein. Second important vein is your great cardiac vein. Great cardiac vein. Third important thing here is that there is middle cardiac vein. There is middle cardiac vein. And the fourth important thing is we have got the posterior vein of the left ventricle. Posterior vein of left ventricle. And fifth important vein, what is that? We have got the right marginal vein. We have got the right marginal vein. And sixth important thing is we have got the vein of Marshall or oblique vein of left atrium. So it is also called as a oblique vein of left atrium. Okay, so did we miss anything? I think we have written all of them, right? So all the veins are done. So these are all the veins which are located on the anterior as well as the posterior side of your heart, right? So just let us just have a quick recap of whatever things we have just discussed right now. So we discussed regarding the topic of veins of the heart. Now in these veins of the heart, we discussed that there is something called as coronary sinus. Okay, and after that we have got what? We have got the great cardiac vein over here, and we have got the small cardiac vein. So here there are different veins, and this vein over here is very important to remember, that is called as a vein of Marshall. This is called as a vein of Marshall. So these are the different kinds of veins which one has to remember at the end. Okay, so thank you so much for watching my video. Goodbye.